Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Fueling Food Innovation, from Concept to Market with Game-Changing Support. I'm Annette Allen, a Business Development Specialist with Manitoba Agriculture's Value-Added Branch, and I'm excited to moderate today's session, featuring three key contributors to the Canadian food and beverage innovation community. This webinar came together to highlight the synergies between the Canadian Food Innovation Network, or CFIN, and Manitoba Agriculture's Food Development Centre, FDC. We've brought this group together to provide a real-life example of how these organizations work together to foster and drive innovation in the food sector and help food businesses succeed. CFIN, FDC, and Farmery Estate Brewery will share insights on transforming bold ideas into market-ready food and beverage products. CFIN empowers innovators across Canada, while FDC offers technical and research expertise, product development, waste stream evaluation, and co-product processing to fast-track your journey from concept to commercialization. I would like to start this webinar with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Manitoba is on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dakota Oyate, Denesalin, and the Hethouk peoples. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge Northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. This webinar is being recorded, and the link will be sent to you after the event. To start, I'll ask each panelist to introduce themselves and share a bit about their organization or business. We will start with the Farmery Estate Brewery. Welcome to Chris and Eric Warrook.
Thanks, Annette. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Warwick, and Eric, I'll take the lead of introducing Farmery. And we've been in business in Manitoba with the brewery since 2012. We built the brewery in 2016, and over the years, we've had the opportunity to work with FDC and Portage on a few different projects. In the past, it's about adding value to expanding our product line with our hops, extracting the essential oils, developing beverages and products with the oils. And I guess from the foundation that we're interested in adding value to the crops that we grow, to keep it very simple. So FDC and Farmer being in rural Manitoba and FDC being close proximity, we've seen a really good value in working with FDC and the technical people there that have the tools and education that we don't have, and the support there as well. So yeah, it's just it's a good connection, and we're happy to be on this Zoom call with everyone.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate the collaboration with the Canadian Food Innovation Network on this event, and it is my pleasure to introduce Haba Khatun, Regional Innovation Director for the Prairies. Take it away, Haba.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So my name is Huba Khatun. I'm the Regional Innovation Director in the Prairies at the Canadian Food Innovation Network. For those of you that are unaware of who we are a national not-for-profit. We're dedicated to accelerating innovation in the food space. We do it all across Canada. Our focus is after the farm, so post-farm gate. And basically, what we do is we connect companies with appropriate funding, with expertise, and with a network of over 7,000 members now. Within my role at the Canadian Food Innovation Network, basically I support entrepreneurs and organizations across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, and basically helping them turn big ideas into scalable, sustainable solutions. My background's in economic development and strategy, so I come with the lens of helping kind of groom innovation ecosystems, but I am especially passionate about how we can scale food tech innovation within the prairie provinces, how we can support commercialization and really build resilient food systems. Super excited to be here today, especially with the conversations Annette, Robin, you and I have been having about supporting Manitoba's food ecosystem. Also, Chris, really excited to be on this call with you and your team because we've actually supported Farmery and funded them in de-risking their early stage innovation. So we do help promising companies like Farmery turn their big ideas into scalable products. So it's been really rewarding to watch their growth, and it's a pleasure to share this webinar with them.
Our final panelist today is Robin Young, Director of the Food Development Center and Value Added Branch.
Thanks so much, Annette. So yes, I'm Robin. I'm the director of the value-added team within Manitoba Agriculture, and we connect a business development unit with the Food Development Center. Our approach is to offer product commercialization expertise and technical support with business development in kind of a wraparound mode for companies to access at whatever stage they're at within their business planning and business growth. The Food Development Center has been around for 47 years plus, and we're really pleased to have the opportunity to highlight some of the work that we can do at the center with companies within research and development and scaling up innovations. Thank you.
I do believe that Huba has a presentation that she would like to share, so I will pass the floor back over to the Canadian Food Innovation Network so that she can share that.
Perfect. I will go ahead and do that. Before I start sharing my presentation, though, I want to quickly highlight that grants are such a critical tool, and especially for early stage and research and development heavy food companies. And we focus on supporting innovation after the farm. So it could be processing, packaging, logistics, food safety, everything that happens between the farm and the consumer. And we offer non-dilutive funding. In the form of grants to pilot these new innovations. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because we have a new funding program, Innovation Booster, that will be live as of July 7th. It's on our website. Unfortunately, I don't see a chat here, so I won't be able to share the link, but it's simple, easy to access on our website. It's called Innovation Booster. And I do encourage all the participants in this webinar to just go and take a look and see if you qualify. Because there's really good capacity for prairie companies to apply and receive funding. So I do want you to look into that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll walk you through a quick and brief presentation about, again, details on who we are, what we do, how we do it, and really in general, how we can support you. We are federally funded, so any of the services that we provide are free of charge. There's some really good tools there that could help companies grow and scale. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we will go from there. Perfect. I want and see nods if you can see my screen. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so just a little bit on who we are, what we do at CFIN. So let's start with who we are. Now, as I mentioned briefly, we are a national not-for-profit. We are dedicated to advancing innovation in Canada. We connect food companies to, again, companies, researchers, stakeholders, whoever they need to foster their collaboration to help accelerate their growth. Now, this is a very wordy slide, but let's go from the bottom left. So, three things that we provide that are within our core services. The first is funding for innovation. So, an example would be the Innovation Booster program that I was just sharing. The second is more of ecosystem development and national collaboration. So we have this national network of food processors that we leverage to help you strengthen your connections that you would have between innovators, businesses, and research institutions. And then the third, which is probably my favorite of all three, is empowering innovators. So basically, we offer tools, we offer knowledge, we offer support to help entrepreneurs bring their ideas to market. So you can connect with us directly, and then we can kind of give you guidance on how to navigate. Now, we've come a long way since we came to life in 2021, and the right side is basically our impact. So to date, we have supported 90 plus projects. We've given out $20 million in non-dilutive funding, which basically means you do not have to pay it back. We have a massive network and it's growing faster than we thought it would. It's 7,000 plus people across Canada in the food system and growing, which means once you tap into our network, which is called Yodel, super easy, takes a minute to log in. It's a first of its kind platform with 7,000 plus people in there. The platform looks a little bit like Yodel, like Reddit and LinkedIn combined. So that's kind of what the interface would look like. And you can ask questions and post your queries, or if you're looking for a partner, you can tap into that, or you can really access a lot of knowledge sharing as well through Yodel. So that's a really, really good tool that we've created. It's been funded through Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. And then through this entire program, we've actually generated 100 plus jobs through this through the funding that we've given out. Okay, the next one is actually just highlighting the sector. So we know that 16% of all the manufacturing GDP is dedicated to the food sector, and it's one of the largest manufacturing sectors in Canada. So it's massive in terms of employment generation, it's massive in terms of GDP impacts. So just some numbers I like to share to set some context. Also, the economist in me helps, it helps to rely on numbers just to give you a little bit of an understanding on the depth and the extent of this sector. And this includes everything from roles in agri-food to food processing to distribution to retail to food service. So it's kind of a massive, massive, massive industry. You would know that because you're in this space. Let's talk about economic significance of agri-food and it on GDP. So we know that $150 billion is what it generates for Canada's economy. We also know that it employs 2.3 million Canadians. And what's interesting is that only 10 countries in the world produce more food than Canada. So looking at the size of Canada's economy, that's massive. This really does highlight kind of the global role of food production in Canada. Other really cool stats would be the technology sector is about $104 billion, so it's a little bit less than the food sector. Aerospace is only 25 billion, so significantly less. I'm trying to show the comparison between what different sectors in Canada look like versus food. So it's a massive, massive economic powerhouse for Canada. Um, I love to show this slide because it tells you exactly where we stand. So anything that's to do with agricultural products on the left, that's considered ag tech according to our definition. So that would be services or technologies that increase farming or efficiency or sustainability and novel farming systems. That's an area that we cannot fund. Anything beyond that, which is value add, processes and food products and safety and next generation food and drinks and all the kind of 7 subsectors that we've created, surplus food management, consumer apps, food delivery. Those are all the areas that kind of fall under our sweet spot, which we can fund. So that's how we're unique, is that our focus and our mandate, and the funding that we get through Innovation Science and Economic Development Canada to give out to companies has a focus specifically on the post-farm gate side. Earlier this year, I worked with my team. We've created this amazing food tech ecosystem report. It's got really good stats. If you want to tap into it, it's free to access through our website. But I extracted this one page from that report because I want to give you kind of the overall of Canada's food tech companies at a glance. So basically, this slide highlights the 7 subsectors that I talked about in my last slide, but showcases the companies that are really active and innovating currently in this space. So you may recognize a few of these names. Some you may have even worked with. But at Canadian Food Innovation Network, we're certainly collaborating and have funded several of them. And we support their growth. We support their impact in the industry. And I'm going to give you some more stats, but what's particularly exciting is how recent this wave of food tech innovation is. So in Canada, 88% of all food tech companies that have emerged just in the last 6 years. This tells us 2 things. A, this sector is incredibly fast moving. And B, the opportunities for growth, investment, and collaboration in food tech have never been stronger. So really, really good opportunity to be in the food sector now. What I've done is actually shared a QR code so you can scan it and it will take you directly to the food tech ecosystem report in Canada. We spent a few months earlier this year to bring this report to life, and it's a really solid report in a sense that it captures trends and highlights and key drivers and opportunities that really shape the Canadian food landscape. And if you're in specific subsectors like protein or functional foods or upcycling, there's some really good key stats and facts and references for you as well. Okay, this is some really cool findings from the report. So basically highlights the incredible momentum and investment in this space over the past decade. We see over 320 agri-food tech companies. We know that Canada ranks 10th globally in the number of active companies, and 13th globally in terms of investments in those active companies. We know that we've got a good ecosystem for support, so accelerators and ecosystem enablers. We've got a really good list of VCs as well. And since 2014, more than $2.9 billion have been invested in agri-food tech in Canada. So it really shows kind of both local and global confidence that investors have in Canada's food ecosystem. And one of my favorite stats from here is that what's particularly exciting is that while the rest of the world in general, on average, struggled. By struggled, I mean they had a negative 2.6 global average for growth rate in agri-food tech. Canada actually had an 8.4% investment compounded annual growth rate in the agri-food tech sector. So it really signals that despite economic challenges, food tech in Canada is a really strong sector with an upward trajectory. And it's also a new industry. So we're really seeing great scaling and success in navigating kind of those areas. Okay, so briefly, in the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned Yodel, our online platform that has 7,000 plus members. This is kind of what the interface looks like. So if you're not on it, you're terribly missing out. You should definitely be on it because we've got a resource finder and a funding finder and really, really good supports there. And there's people there live, active in, the entire 24/7. So you can ask questions that you wouldn't even think anyone within Canada could answer, but there's folks there that have the knowledge in the food sector that can do that. So really, really useful platform. Easiest way to get on it is just Google Yodel and you'll see the first link for you to sign up. I also mentioned our funding programs. Not all of them are active currently. However, the last program that's on this slide here, called Innovation Booster, will actually be live as of July 7th. So what it does is it provides up to $100,000 in funding, and that's to companies that really need kind of a clear hurdle removal. So, like say they're innovating and they see a barrier or a block, we help them get funding through this, and then they activate on it. It's also I've worked in several funding platforms in the federal government and municipal government, and this is the fastest funding turnaround that I've ever seen. It's a 60-day turnaround from the day that you apply to when we give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down saying maybe we can help you reframe your application. Um, and then you have a year to action on it. So it really is for companies that are top innovation ready and they can really activate as soon as they get funding. So really, really solid piece. And then basically our Yodel platform is also really useful to connect with partners and facilities and funding and co-packers, et cetera. So you'll find it really, really useful when you tap into it. Um, Also want to share that I'm not the only face of CFIN. We've got a team that's all across Canada, but also similar to myself, there are other regional innovation directors across Canada that could be really useful based on what you're looking to do in what region. So, similar to myself, there's Lavina Gully in BC, there's Marsha Drucker in Ontario, there's Julie Dagla in Quebec, and there's Tyson McInnes in the Atlantic. I have also taken the liberty to share their emails here. So if you think that any one of them could be a really good fit, you're welcome to reach out to them. They're not only regional experts, they're also, each one of us is good at something that the other person can really benefit from. So for example, Lavina is a food scientist. I'm an economist. Marsha is a community builder. Tyson is a new venture creator. And Julie helps with business development. So we really help you where you are in your growth journey as well. Okay, this is my last slide. I'm going to stop sharing so we can actually have some good conversation and answer any questions you may have. Over to you, Annette.
Thank you, Heba. That was great. I know that Robin has some slides that she would like to share, and then we'll get into our conversation period.
Okay, and I won't take too much more time before we get into a conversation. So let me just get my slides open here. I'm going to go into presentation mode. Let me know when you can see. Taking a moment. All right. Can you see that in it?
Robin, you just need to go to display settings and swap.
Okay,
top.
Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. I won't take too much time and appreciate having your presentation speaking about the size of the sector and the importance to Canada's economy. In the context of Manitoba, our food sector, food processing industry is the largest manufacturing sector in Manitoba, which provides, again, some context around the importance and the presence of the value-added team within Manitoba agriculture and the role that we play. And the reason that we have support and opportunities to work with the industry is because it's such a big driver for our economy here. The goal of our branch is to accelerate the growth of the food and agri-product sector in Manitoba with business development and product development and commercialization support through the Food Development Center, which you can see here, a lovely shot of our center in Portage. Our business development team has created many tools and resources, most of which are linked through our Business Pathways website, which you can see the icon for that there on this page. They've been busy doing a lot of activities as usual, but certainly with the context of the global kind of trade uncertainty going on. We just hosted a booth at CL Canada with 12 Manitoba companies participating, I believe. In June, we hosted a pitch event. Companies had a chance to pitch to Save On Foods and to Red River Co-op for a chance to either be listed or expand their listings, given the push on kind of domestic and the buy local piece that's happening for the industry right now. And we also have a really robust set of resources, including a YouTube channel where you can find Food Business Talk, and this webinar will be recorded and placed there. It seems we might have a crystal ball. We did an interprovincial trade webinar series in January. We don't just guess at what industry needs. We have a lot of directories and access to information. So when you sign up to be part of the food and ingredient product directory, we use that information behind the scenes to help determine and decipher what companies are up to, what stage of growth they're at, and what types of tools and resources they need so we can provide really valuable learning and activity opportunities. For the Food Development Center, I'll just speak briefly about our research and development capacity. We have lab scale all the way to pilot scale research development capacity. We're a tiny team right now. We have a team of 8 scientists that can help with value addition, prototypes, creating scalable processes, looking at ingredient substitutions and formulations, and functionality in terms of protein and other ingredient applications as well. Our scale-up capacity includes our pilot plant for commercialization. We can do clinical trial development and create test market samples for clients there before they transfer back to their own facilities. We've also had clients bring equipment, move into the facility, test that out without shutting down their main lines, and then return that information and knowledge that they gain at the center into their own facilities. And of course, supporting all of this R&D are our quality and safety and functionality testing capacity as well. We do a lot of work with market access with companies, so doing shelf life studies, shelf life extension. So as you're looking to export or grow your markets, of course, you need to make sure your product gets to that market in the same great condition and great tasting condition that it leaves their facility in. We help with sensory evaluation and the regulatory support to help you access new markets as well. I'll just highlight here, we have an open house coming up September 18th, so there'll be more details, watch for that. And Annette's going to share a QR code at the end of the presentation that will take you right to the Food Development Center's website. We're really excited. We're launching a series of new videos, including a virtual tour of the center, so you can see kind of firsthand what's there. So if you're not close to our center location or you're out of province, you have a chance to take a look at what capacity we have through those videos. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you all for those great introductions. Now we're moving on to the fun part of the event, I think. We're going to have some great conversations now, I am quite sure. Getting a concept to a market-ready product is a big leap for many entrepreneurs. So, Huba and Robin, how do your organizations support innovators in bridging that gap? And what services or programs do you find most critical? Some of this may have been spoken to already, but can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure, I can go first if that's okay, Robin. Perfect. Okay, so I did share a little bit about this in the presentation, but basically at Canadian Food Innovation Network, what we do is we work with innovators across the country and we really help them move again from idea to impact. So if you're wondering kind of what our sweet spot is, we fund between technology readiness level 3 to 7. So if you've got a concept that you're building on, that's a really good idea that you want to action on, we can connect you with potential partners. And then we can provide you with funding and even IP support to help you scale that idea and get it across the finish line to near commercialization. One key offering, as I mentioned, again, through that is funding. So through programs, again, like Innovation Booster and Food Tech Next, we help de-risk early stage R&D and then commercialization activities. But again, funding is just part of the story. So we also operate through Yodel, which is our digital platform for over 7,000 people. It is so useful for anyone that hasn't tapped into it yet. Please look into it. And then, you can collaborate, you can find partners, you can access resources. Because what we've noticed is Canada is so physically large. And, it's not like Europe where you can hop on a train and get from one place to another in an hour. For me to meet my counterpart in Ontario, it literally takes me a 5-hour flight. And so what that does is, because we're so physically large, there's been silos that have been created in provinces and cities across Canada. And so what Yodel does is it's virtual and it really helps everybody connect with everybody else and helps break those barriers. And we recognize that often innovators don't just need the money, they need connections to manufacturers, they need connections to technical experts, they need connections to potential buyers, and that's where we come in. And it's so glad to see Chris here because a great example is Farmery. We funded them to develop a novel value add product. We're helping them expand their offering to keep more of the value chain local. And that kind of support, which is financial plus ecosystem connectivity, is what we see as most critical.
I'll jump in too. So within our branch, we help clients at all stages, whether you're starting up or you're a growing company. We see clients return time after time coming back for different services and opportunities to work with FDC or with the other side of the branch with the business development team. And so Farmery's a great example of that. You've come and utilized certain equipment and expertise on the team and then taken that away, implemented it in your business, and then you come back when you're ready for the next project. So we're here kind of foundationally to help clients through whatever stage. We do pathfinding to help find funding. So we don't provide funding. We help administer part of the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership for the province. So we get some insight and input into the development of programs that are really salient to the industry. We've seen really good uptake in this framework. And then we are through our business pathways, we have over 50 partner organizations that are linked in there as well. So if we don't have the expertise within our team, we also connect you. So similar to what Hub was talking about on the national scale, but in the Manitoba kind of context again. Thank you.
Annette, I was going to just jump in there too. Is that just to add to the point? I mean, yes, the connections that we've been made, Eric and I have made with CFIN and FTC has helped Farmery exactly do that you described. Does that basically help us for the things that we don't have, we're not experts in, like shelf stability and collaboration on projects that we want to take our ingredients or stuff that we grow and commercialize it to the store, to the retail channels. Farmer, we do a great job, just like other farmers, producers across the prairies, across Canada, is that we produce lots of ag products. How do you get to consumers? And I think that the economic environment now with the tariffs or the potential tariffs is that with the support of programs like CFIN and FDC, it helps us as entrepreneurs extend our investments and reach new markets with that, and actually keeping the local economy growing. So we've seen a direct it's directly influenced us in how we approach new products and how we can scale that up to reach the consumer in different markets. Currently, we're shipping products from Ontario right to BC to the Yukon with products that were grown on our farm. And it's been unbelievable that to say that if you're to ask me back in 2012 or Eric and I and Lawrence to see if that was possible, that vision was possible with FTC and federal programs and provincial programs like CFIN to help us do that. So thanks for showing us that Yodel. I'm going to check out that website because that looks really interesting. To like even for co-packing, because I would say is that we're at the level now too, is that we have the expertise within our own facility to offer co-packing to other local producers. So we'll definitely be checking out that Yodel website too. So thank
Yeah,
you.
for sure, Chris. That's massive. You should actually write a post on Yodel, and I invite anyone on call to be able to do that because the co-packing service that you would provide, we know that there's a shortage in co-packing in the prairies, and who knows who's looking for what and what they can tap into. So it's a really, really good resource for that.
Yes, and I didn't forget about you, Chris. I did have a question specifically for Farmery coming up. I do need to apologize though for forgetting to introduce Eric. I'm so sorry for that, Eric. We're lucky to have two representatives from the Farmery with us today, Eric and Chris. So I do have another question for Farmery. From your perspective as a producer, What are the key factors in successfully moving a new product from idea to shelf?
Eric, do you want me to take that, or do you want to take that?
How about you start off that one first, and I can pitch in if
Okay,
I
sure.
got some ideas.
Well, and that there's many factors, right? And all the risk is on the manufacturer of taking that risk to take it to market. But the factors are basically analyzing the marketplace. So there are those opportunities to like tap into, like Robin said, FTC, to like analyze the marketplace to see if our concept of a product is there, if there's room in the marketplace for that. Because we're competing with the big international brands, right? The consumer is, I think, the desire is to support local, but we have to be local. We have to be priced competitively. We have to, be better, price better in some circumstances. But I think we're coming to the point where that our products have to be remarkable, and it doesn't have to be the cheapest or the best, but it has to be remarkable to the consumer and actually to the retailers. Because if we don't reach the retailers, if we don't convince the buyers of the retail store chains, then we're not going to reach the consumer. um, Farmery, we've been lucky through, well, not lucky, but we've been innovative during COVID to expand into our e-commerce platform, where we don't have to necessarily rely on the retail channels or the stores to reach that consumer. But that's not everything. We don't rely on that completely, and we've seen a big expansion into the retail channels, especially since the tariffs. And a lot of the retail stores like Safeway, Sobeys are eager to promote small producers and local producers like ourselves, and put us beside their international brands, so to speak. So yeah, some of the challenges are and the factors are basically, taking initiative, but actually the support of what we just talked about is critical for small producers like us to have that competitive edge in order to reach that consumer, I would say.
I just want to add to that, like with and COVID was a perfect example of that. It's like it showed us that the supply chains that we took for granted the last like 20, 30, 40 years are a little bit more tenuous than what they proved to be. So having a local option for supply of products in the market is a huge advantage, and that it just showcases like where the value we can bring to the market, both locally and interprovincially as well, and potentially, hopefully, internationally, when we can utilize the resources that we have locally to actually add value to what we grow, process it, and make a product, a really cool product that people want in the market. That's a huge advantage to the local economy and the Canadian economy overall.
What a great segue into the next question. Thank you for that, Eric. In light of the recent economic uncertainty and emphasis on market diversification, has that changed how your organization is approaching research and innovation? So to the Farmery, your brewery is well known for your innovative approach to product development and your sustainability efforts, such as estate-grown ingredients. You've already talked a little bit about this, but could you share how you embed innovation and sustainability into your business practices?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, that's the core foundation of Farmery. We grew up on a family farm. That it's no secret that our dad was failing. The farm was failing the family, right? To get our products to market, and we couldn't be sustainable. That's why the four brothers moved off the farm and started the restaurant in Winnipeg. Um, but examples of us supporting locals at in the restaurant, in our restaurant, and eventually in our pub, that was our segue into the beer industry, was supporting farmers. Uh, when we had the opportunity to buy beef and lamb and pork, we chose to deal directly with the farmers and give that value right to the farm gate. And we take that philosophy right through what we're doing now. Is that when we grow a crop of barley, grow our hops. We try our best to add value as much as possible. That's not to say that we grow everything. I mean, there's some hop varieties that we can't grow here that are critical to some of the products that we have, and we have to buy some of those products. But I gave a tour yesterday at the brewery, and we were passing by Portage and the oat plant, and I gave the example of us when we made a wheat beer, is that instead of buying rice hulls for the process, which is critical for a wheat beer, because if you don't know, there's no hull on a wheat like there is barley. You have to replace with something. So the brewing industry buys rice hulls. And at the time when I was passing by Portage, I called up the plant there and I said, "You guys are steaming off the hulls off of oats. Why can't we buy your hulls and use it in our beer?" So I would say is that we're probably the first brewery in Canada or North America to actually use locally grown processed oat hulls to process and make our Belgian wheat beer. So that's part of the process in our way of thinking, that where can we add value to someone else's manufacturing, and along the way add to the locally grown producers and stuff. I'm going to kind of segue and kind of lead off, Eric, too, is that we just installed a pretty cool machine at the brewery to recapture our CO2, which is again being sustainable and adding value to the products that we create there. So Eric, you're kind of instrumental with helping us find that unique piece of equipment at the brewery.
Yeah, and on top of that, it just enhances our overall low carbon footprint of the estate brewery concept, where we're growing our own barley and hops. We're malting our barley locally in Winnipeg, and we're not importing vast amounts of malted barley from even Europe. Like we're tapping that locally ourselves. So that's another way that we're sustainably producing our products. Yeah.
But that recapture equipment, the CO2, Eric, when we ferment the beer, instead of letting the CO2 go, maybe just expand on that to show how we're being sustainable at the brewery.
Yes, the estate brewery concept. Plus, we're on top of that, we have a CO2 recycling recapture machine. That's because in the brewing process, the two byproducts are CO2, or one of the byproducts is CO2. So being able to, like, instead of having it vented off into the air, we can recapture that CO2 and put it back to our brewing process. So it's it's just another way of we're enhancing our overall sustainability of what we're producing, and also reducing our overall CO2 footprint. And to be honest, we're probably one of the lowest carbon. We have probably one of the lowest carbon footprints of any brewery globally, not just like in Canada or the United States, like of the entire world.
Wow, that's really impressive. Thank you for sharing that. To CFIN and the Food Development Center, how are your organizations supporting companies in light of the current economic uncertainties? And what role do you play in supporting companies' market diversification efforts? Robin, would you like to take that one?
There we go. Sorry, my unmute was not working. Yes, I'd love to answer this question. So in light of the uncertainty, but kind of always, our branch really prides itself on having a really slick triage system. So if you're calling the Food Development Center and we do our intake interview with you and find out that there's business development support that would support your company, we also link you up to a business development specialist so that you have a business development specialist the whole time you're working with the branch, as well as working with FDC. Through that triage, through our directories and our surveys with industry that we do quite frequently, we're listening. We're always listening to find out what companies are needing, what markets do you want to enter, where are you finding challenges, where are you having regulatory barriers, and then we'll provide resources, tools, activities. We either create them or we find the best tools available. We do in-market experiences. And so this year we're ramping up again too. We've had the opportunity to kind of retake on a mandate around in-market. So hence doing the CL trade show. We've got some other ones that we're promoting coming up in Europe, but also still in Canada and the domestic market, because we're hearing that that's still a really important piece for the size and scope of companies in Manitoba for sure. And then on the other piece around market diversification, we have a lot of expertise at the Food Development Center around co-product utilization, investigating what your side streams might look like, where you can capture waste, upcycle waste, make a product that fits someone else's needs. So like you spoke about, Chris, like finding a use for someone else's manufacturing. So we're collaborating with other partners in the department as well to create an asset map for byproducts in Manitoba. So if you're looking at an opportunity for starch, let's say, you can figure out exactly where it is located in Manitoba and make a plan for your business in that way. Thank you.
Papa, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, for sure, Annette. So, um, economic uncertainty recently, it's real. And has made it even more important to support agility, to support resilience in the food sector. What we're seeing at Canadian Food Innovation Network is, as we're speaking to innovators, a growing need to unlock new markets, or this could be export opportunities, but this could also be new channels like direct to consumer, activities that spotlight what companies are doing, or novel ingredients is another category that we're really looking at. So what we're doing in this space is basically we're not just responding by funding commercialization, which is our core value and core purpose in what we do, but we also spotlight companies through kind of national initiatives. So, for example, we have this new program that we want to action on an annual basis. It's called FoodTech Frontier 25. Basically, what it does is it helps companies gain visibility with investors and buyers. What FoodTech Frontier 25 is that it's our signature initiative that spotlights the top 25 companies that are doing really impactful, really ambitious work in Canada. Eric and your team, if you haven't tapped into it, you really should. But what it also does is the program recognizes and amplifies kind of the transformative work that the companies are doing. It connects the honorees who would be in the top 25 list with appropriate investors, with partners, and key collaborators that could really help them leverage. And then it really helps enhance their visibility through media coverage and through strategic promotion that we'll be doing throughout. We'll also be doing regional launch events in person to help kind of facilitate that. So the deadline for that is July 10th. And it's open to all Canadian headquartered companies. So this is just one area that we're looking at. We're also directly connected to partners that help scale Canadian innovations. So, for example, one of the recent activities that I'm taking on in the prairies is our partnership with the Trade Commissioner Service on events like Taste of Western Canada, where we connect international buyers and distributors to local companies and the amazing work that they're doing. Another really cool partnership that I'm really excited about, and we will be present in Manitoba, is the EIT Foods. EIT Foods from Europe. They're like Canadian Food Innovation Network, but they're all across Europe, and they act as a liaison or a connector for local companies that want to tap into Europe. So we're doing some activations with them throughout the Protein Symposium in Manitoba. And we'll also have an in-person event in Manitoba that anyone on this call is invited to. So that would be a really good kind of networking opportunity as well for them to tap into what we're doing. But also, if they are interested in the European market, EIT Foods will be present and they can have a conversation about that opportunity. So that's what we're trying to do to help kind of diffuse the situation, help diversify the market portfolio for companies, and just help give them more spotlight in the ecosystem, in both within Canada and a little bit externally as well.
Thank you so much. I have one final question for the panel, and then we're going to do a quick Q&A session. So I invite the participants to type their questions into the Q&A box, and we will get to them shortly. Partnerships, funding, and technical support and collaboration are all essential to turning food innovations into successful, thriving businesses. Eric and Chris, reflecting on Farmery's growth, can you share, you've shared it a little bit already, but can you share a little bit more about your experience working with CFIN and FDC and how you were supported by them? And more importantly, what practical advice can you share on working with strategic partners like this?
Absolutely. I'll go first, Eric. I know you want to add something in there too, but well, I mean, FTC being close to the brewery was one aspect, but being local to understand our challenges in producing and basically scaling up, so to speak. They have the scientists there. They have the equipment there to help us test stuff. We're adding value to some of our waste products, which is going to be an upcycled product, which is kind of helping with that. And of course, we need the financial support to help us expand and extend our budget. I mean, as a producer and in sales, I mean, I would like to spend more on marketing and sales to expand the sales. So the resources to actually fine tune and develop new R&D products is kind of secondary to what we already have. But the future is to further enhance our portfolio with new and innovative products. And that's clearly the future of any local producer that's going to be competitive in the marketplace, because we still are being competing with international brands that are coming in from the States or from overseas. And if we can produce something that's of value or remarkable here that the consumer wants, then why shouldn't we be part of that? I just want to point out is that when we're talking about collaboration, our partnership with Bee Made Honey that started over a couple of years ago, that came to a product called Anti-Bees. We made the choice to sweeten that tea with 100% honey. And when we were looking for producers, we automatically, connected with Bee Made, which is 100% Canadian, Western Canadian honey. To the local consumers, that's obviously an advantage, but to the international consumer and to those markets, it's also a huge advantage, because that maple leaf is I think an advantage in the marketplace. To us, to Lawrence and Eric and I, it's us partnering with other farmers across the prairies. That's what makes us, check the boxes as well. And so we couldn't have done that without partnerships with like-minded companies or cooperatives like Bee Made, but also tapping into the assets of FDC and CFIN helps us get the product over the finish line to the consumer and let the consumer vote with their pocketbook. So of course we're happy to acknowledge that that's a huge asset for local producers like us.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think like in terms of any advice or whatever, the only advice I'd have is just if you're a local producer or just a local person who has a vision or idea, there are resources now to help that you can tap into, such as CFIN and FDC, to bring your vision to the store to life. And really we need those more local options. Like we've been as a country that produces so many different types of commodities, it is a little it's interesting that over the course of decades, we're still importing a lot of food products that we could be locally producing ourselves. So having the ability of tapping into the organizations like a CFIN and FDC to help us, balance the scales a little bit and get local products to the store shelves is a huge asset. But just dream big and just start doing something is what my advice would be. It's not just yourself. Like there are local organizations that you can tap into to help you bring your vision to life.
Dream big. I love that. To Hubba and Robin, what tips would you give food entrepreneurs to engage effectively with your organizations and maximize the support available?
Um, I can go first. So I did mention that we play that matchmaking role across the ecosystem. Um, we do this through both our regional presence and our national platform. So, for example, a startup might come to us for funding, but we'll often help them, again, find a co-packer or get regulatory advice or connect them with members who've solved similar challenges so they can learn from example. Um, for entrepreneurs coming to us in the food space, my biggest tip would be that don't just come to us with a product, come to us with a clear understanding of the problem you're solving. Um, and be open to feedback because what we noticed for with a lot of food tech companies is they create this beautiful product and it's their baby and nobody wants to hear that their baby is ugly. So they really want to action on that particular product. And so what we want them to do is identify exactly where in the ecosystem they've identified the problem and do some backward induction to say, oops, I probably couldn't have solved it with my existing product, or maybe I can, but I need to do better. Here's what I can do to curate a solution for that problem. And also be open to feedback because we will connect you with folks who could really give you some solid feedback as mentors and advisors. Um, in general, overall, not to discourage any companies at all, we are here to help you succeed. And the more you engage with our network, the more you will find value in it. This is one kind of tip that I'll give out to companies.
And I'll echo what Hub is saying as well within our network within Manitoba Agriculture. For sure, reach out. Our business pathways, pathfinding and connection resource is huge. It's a great tool and it's full of resources and tools such as setting your pricing, like looking at how to pitch, how to create a sell sheet, all those pieces at whatever stage you're ready for. We also have a bunch of a variety of apps that are really useful in terms of finding a permitted space to produce in if you're just getting started. We have a co-packing app for Manitoba that has over 60 entrants in it. So Farmery, if you're looking at becoming a co-packer, we'd love to get you on that list. And we see lots of brands come out of shared capital. So that's a huge kind of shift over the past few years. And we've seen the brewing sector really show a lot of leadership in that space in terms of letting other brands utilize empty tanks and things that are only costing money if they're sitting underutilized. So we've seen that kind of mindset grow in the province as well. And yeah, like Hubba said as well, just connecting. I know it takes time out of your business to look around for resources and connect. We try to make it simple through a circular that comes out about once a month. And so highlights kind of the training and resources and opportunities that are coming up as well. So encourage you to stay connected and reach out with any questions that you have. And if we don't have the answers, similar to Hubba, we might put it in the Yodel and take a look at what we can find outside of the province for you as well.
Thank you, Robin. We're now opening the floor to questions. I realize that we're getting close to our 60-minute time period, so we do apologize that we might go over a little bit, but it's such a great conversation that we just don't want it to end. So if you do need to leave, that is fine. But if you have questions, please type them into the chat. I do have a couple of questions in the chat so far that I would like to ask the group. The first question is, in what ways are circular economy approaches, such as repurposing waste into value-added goods or innovating with upcycled foods, influencing the food industry?
I can share a little bit on this for sure. So, upcycling and food waste is one of the top three key domains that we've highlighted in the Food Tech Ecosystem Report based on all the data that currently exists. Now, in this industry, we know that Canada is a massive food waste producer. If you were to quantify it, Finland, Denmark, and Sweden combined, the amount of food that is produced within those three countries is how much there is food waste in Canada. So that's a massive, massive, massive problem. Now, in this capacity, we know that this is an area that we really have to focus on. So we've done some funding calls that focus specifically on upcycling and reducing food waste. We've done some funding calls that also reduce the use of single-use plastics, especially for packaging. And we've supported some really cool companies that are doing cutting edge technology that are either creating a software that diverts food waste or connects upcyclers with retailers who would have food waste. So there's a lot of things that we're doing currently, but this is more of an organic approach that needs to come from companies. So good approaches that are being taken on, a lot more that needs to be done on all levels across the food ecosystem. But we do recognize that this is an area that really, really does need lots of growth and innovation.
And I can jump in on the other side. So I love what you said about connecting and using software to support those that have food waste to find those that are looking for it. That's a huge opportunity. Oftentimes it's kind of disparate and it's geographically not centralized. So there becomes some challenges. So with the Food Development Center, our expertise is around how to actually handle that material, how to transform it, what it might be utilized for, whether it needs some dehydration or some drying to extend its shelf stability so it can get to that next user in a format that's still safe and usable. We also can provide support on the regulatory side. So if you're creating something that turns out to be a novel ingredient, there's sometimes some market access challenges that come with that. We provide support on that front as well. We're seeing consumers are more ready for this. They're looking for stories and they're aware of the food waste issue and looking for ways to, I think, play a role in there too. So products that might not have been salient on the shelf a few years ago are now showing up. So Loop Beverages comes to mind, Loop Mission out of Quebec, and we're seeing some other companies regionally get started looking at that piece as well in terms of preserving produce and fruit and vegetables that are coming to market that don't quite get to the consumers.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think I think what we've learned from our experiences is that, and what we passionately believe in is that sustainability and efficiency are co-hand hand. So for us, being able to do something with us, for example, our brewers spent barley and making extract what's still usable with it rather than giving it to giving away to a farmer for his cattle or putting it back on our field is hugely advantageous, and it's also sustainable too. So it just kind of goes back to what we believe in, which is like farming. It's about common sense. So following something that's commonsensical and being able to reuse what is before was thrown away just makes sense to us.
I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. I would encourage people to type in their questions, but maybe they got hungry and went for lunch. I guess we will close the session then. Thank you all for your engaging discussion, and the conversation was really great. This has been an incredibly valuable conversation showing how food innovators can turn bold ideas into successful products with the right support and collaboration. Remember, there are support networks and resources available throughout the food innovation ecosystem to help entrepreneurs and businesses grow. Leveraging these partnerships and technical expertise is key to success. And in closing, I would just like to share a slide. I apologize, I should have had that up earlier. Are you seeing my screen?
Looks good.
Yeah.
You're seeing it? Okay. In closing, I would just like to leave you with a QR code which will lead you to the Food Development Center website. And stay tuned because we're going to have some really exciting videos showcasing all their capabilities very soon.
There is a short video up right now. If you happen to click on that QR code, you can navigate to what we're calling a sizzle, an FTC sizzle. Sounds very exciting.
And I'd also just like to leave you with Robin and Hubba's contact information. So please do reach out to them if you have further questions or you would like to connect with them and take advantage of their wonderful services. Additionally, feel free to connect with Manitoba Agriculture's Value Added branch, and you can contact us by reaching out to mbagrifood@gov.mb.ca. Thank you once again to all the panelists. This was a lot of fun and it was a great conversation. And have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.